Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to do the transform tool. This should be a very simple video. Hopefully it clears up some of the problems that you guys have been having using that um, that tool. All right, so I just used the sphere tool to make a mass in the scene. It's sitting on the grid right now, but it's not in the center. Well, kind of. Let's move it off. No, it's not in the center. Yeah, if you look over here in the tool options, you'll see all the different information that applies to the transform tool. If I look at this right here, position, you see these numbers. For a lot of things in 3D code, it's much easier if the whatever you're working on is centered. So 0, 0, 0, and it wasn't that big a move, so it just nudged it over slightly. But if I go up and take the object up there, you can see that when I move, only certain values change. So if I move up, the middle channel changes. If I move right, the far right channel changes. And finally, if I move forward and backwards, that's the final channel. But that's all. When I say forwards and backwards, that's all relative to the way I'm looking at the object. But the important thing to know is that if you want something in the center, all you have to do is zero all of those values out, and you're back to the middle of the coordinate system. Picking pivot, I never use this because it's much easier to pick your pivot by holding down Shift and simply moving the gizmo. And the easiest way to Alright, so moving the gizmo, let's show you what happens when the gizmo is in the center. That is involved with scaling. So if I take this little middle cube right here and I move it, I can change the size of my object. I can constrain the scaling to different axes, because there are other little cubes towards the end of these little arrows. Scale in all directions. But if I move my gizmo to the side, it will scale directly from the point of the center point of this gizmo. As you'll see, as you transform and scale and well, basically scale, this little spot over here will go from uniform to non-uniform. Again, I've talked about this before. You just hit Control-Shift-U, or come up here and go to uniform space. Let's say that you want to move your object in a specific direction. You just rotate your axis and you can move it along that specific axis. If you want to bring it back to the original, like the center of the bounding box of the object, just do bound center. If you want to change the gizmo's orientation back to the original, just 0, 0, 0, reset axis. I'm not going to talk about reset space. It's not really something I use very often, but I'm sure it has its uses in special cases. This is pretty simple to center mass. It moves the gizmo to the center of whatever object you have, so That's different than the bounding box center. An align to view, all it does is it takes the, imagine your screen as a plate of glass, and it will orientate the gizmo perpendicular to the screen. That's all it's doing. It's easier to see. This. See, just aligns it to however you're looking at it. You get a perpendicular gizmo. So we're just going to reset the axis, and then there's this. You can move the gizmo without transforming the object. You can also do the same thing by just holding down the shift key. So that's the basic idea behind the transform gizmo. It's pretty useful for, well, everything. But if I just take this really quickly, slice off the sides. Actually, I think I'm going to stop this video here. That's the basic explanation of the transform tool that you need to know. You'll find uses for that as you move along, and yeah, I think I'm going to end this video right now. Thanks.